Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Smith of the In the Black Quant VTF here, T3 Live with this weekend's market breakdown. We got SPY going inside day, and so certainly an interesting spot here after the run-up we've had in a lot of things, and especially, you can see coming off the bottom of the Trump triangle and all the way back up. Now we go off slight higher highs and come back in here. So the question is, can we hold something like this, or we go to a slight higher high? We go to a slight lower low. We go inside and just continue this back up, inside day back up, and just take a shot at the highs? Or do we start to get a little bit worse and go inside day and start coming back into this stuff? We'll have to see. Obviously, there's a lot of divergences in the sectors. So this should be very interesting because if we do start to drop in, one of the things we want to point out here in the monthly chart is that last month we were an outside month, and you remember the Trump futures were a lot lower than this, but this is the cash SPY. So even if we start dropping in, we got a good chance to be an inside month. And so what that means is we want to be aware of any change in the day, the new week, the new 60-minute, because technically we would be consolidating. Now it's a large range. It doesn't mean it can't get hit pretty hard. So what we'd be watching is time frame continuity. So time frame continuity on the month, we open at 220.73. So anytime we're below that, we're down on the month. And then we'll have to see how, the weekly openings, the daily openings, 60 openings. But to start off, inside day, if we go to the QQQ, a little bit worse. Got the smackdown last week and coming into all this business here. And so here, let's see in the monthly here, would still be an inside month, but has a much better shot at taking all this stuff out as so far. So we'll certainly be aware on how the Qs are acting. If we go to small cappers had the huge run, and now once again inside day here. And so the question is, do we retrace part of this stuff and go inside day and start dropping in? And if we do, we would still be an inside month because it's going to be a tough time taking this baby out if we don't go into the highs. So like I said, what that means is technically consolidating, but starting off as a new day, inside day. And what this also sets up is potentially a simultaneous break. So if we're going to get a big move in the market to the downside, you get all these inside days and the broader averages and a lot of other things to all break in the same direction on a Monday. And that's oftentimes when you can get that big move if they all break in the same direction. So we're certainly going to be aware of that because as far as time frame continuity is concerned, most things are now down for the month, albeit we just started the month. But the daily and the weekly and the 60-minute opening are all the same on Monday. And so if we start dropping, that has full time frame continuity to the downside should that occur. So we're going to be aware of that stuff. If we take a look at Apple doing nothing really. You can see it drops in, gets this range in here and comes back into here. But to start off the month, once again, nowhere near taking out either side of this. So inside month to begin. And in the weekly, you can see this just doing nothing in the middle of this range as of right now. So nothing going on over there. If we go to the TLT bonds, an outside week here. So bonds still dropping off. You can see the monthly here. Nice drop off the inside month peak. And now actually green on the month. So just slight lower low after this big move down. Obviously not uncommon to see some consolidating. We got nothing new there. If we go to SVXY, this is where it gets interesting if we get a simultaneous break. You got SVXY opening is the new inside month. And also an inside day, just like that SPY. So the question is, we're going to hold something like this, slight higher high, slight lower low, go inside, start moving back higher. It's going to get worse because if you look at stuff like UVXY, here you're going to see how it's just sitting right here, inside day on the bottom of this thing here, to see if there's going to be any of this more of a push. And so when people are in here, we're saying the market's overbought, UVXY and VXX got to go. I'm like, well, it's a matter of when things occur. So as they sat in here first, that was the end of November. But as soon as we go into December, then we have that potential for full time frame continuity to the downside, which we did not have because of the bright green month and for the most part, in a lot of things, bright green weeks. But once we come in December, now it's a different ballgame. So we're certainly going to be aware of these inside days on Monday morning. If we go to the Dow Jones was an inside day and then poked below it and comes back in, but it's 2 days inside this pattern. Wednesday, and so technically it's a rev strat. And what that means is it took the inside bar down, but opens and closes back in it. So if we start moving higher, the Dow Jones, the reason these work is because you'd have full time frame continuity to the upside, and you'd have three level of obvious stops here, here, and here if they want to keep pushing this Dow Jones Diamonds up. But it is still a two-day pattern, so taking out that Thursday's high or Friday's low is going to be very important. So we'll see how that goes. If we go to Boeing in the Dow, Boeing's still doing the waka waka here in an inside day up to here. And you might recall this weekly that we were watching, the inside week to triangle expand. Here, if we go back out a little bit more, you'll see this here. And so if we can get to this broadening formation here, about 155er, starting off as an inside day with the rest of the gang. If we go to Disney, a little bit different of a story. Disney did try and make this makes this move up, then goes shooting star off the top of this and drops back in. And what that does set up is the weekly here. It's weekly shooting star. If it wants to drop back in, counters the hammer to see if it drops back in. So we'll be aware that Disney below 98.25. If we go to GE going momentum hammer. And so here you'll see this. It's also inside and a momentum hammer, which means anybody who's short this thing didn't cover and comes back up here. The stops all go right there. If that combines with natural buyers, you can get a nice little move out of that. So we'll see how far, see if the GE can take that out. If you go to Home Depot, and there's going to be a lot of retail here too. Home Depot, you're going to see this weekly. You're going to see this. The higher high, the lower low, the higher high, the lower low. You can see also a smaller series in here. Lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. And now inside on the week to see if Home Depot's got the taker back to the highs, and that would be a nice move, and that certainly would be important in the Dow. If you go to mini mines, Triple M, tight inside week here. We'll just see how these weeklies and dailies start to break come Monday morning. If we go to Nike, still stinking the joint up. Nike having all sorts of trouble down in here, and you can see it on the monthly. It's just still hanging near the lows. So when you keep an eye on that to see if it ever wakes up, but like most things here, you got an inside day to start off the new week. If we go to Walmart, we're going to have a lot of retail here too, but Walmart is starting off as an inside month. And so if this is just more corrective activity within this, correct, and then back up into something like this, that would be pretty good. But we got that inside month that needs to get taken out. If we go to the trannies, and the transport still got some room to go to the new highs. And remember, last month was powerful. And now, on the weekly momentum hammer right on the high. So what that means, anybody who's trying to short into this, and once again, anybody trying to pick the top, they had their chance, and it goes right back up towards the highs. And so if it takes that out, it's got to keep going once momentum hammers get taken out, because the reason that works is because people jammed on the wrong side and the level of aggression of the buyer. So if the shorts just get stopped out, oftentimes it just comes right back in. But so long as it's green above that, we certainly want to know about that. If we go to the airlines, American Airlines stalls out here. You can see these 2 weeks doing that. And here starts off as an inside day, and you can see this here. You'll see this tight stuff like this. But this is why when you're ever looking at anything, that has a relationship, like it's in the trannies and it's an airline, you can look at them all, because if you look at Alaska Airlines, different story here. It's just been on a tear trying to go to new highs. No new actionable signal there, however, but just by going around the horn there, you can check it out. You got Hawaiian Holdings HA Airlines here, and that's been strong too, and going inside week to see if we can get out of all this stuff here. Go towards the highs. We'll be keeping an eye, like I said, on that momentum hammer and the trannies. If we go to JetBlue, momentum weekly hammer here as well. JetBlue, once again, nowhere near the highs on the comeback trail, and that's a good thing. This is all just corrective activity. It starts ripping back up. Now, granted, oil's been rallying, but cats and dogs rallying together, sometimes it happens. So we'll check that out. All right, if we go to United Airlines, slight weekly momentum hammer and trying to go and test the new all-time highs up in here, this stuff. If we go to Southwest Air, Love, soon take a shot at the all-time highs with the weekly momentum hammer there as well. If we go to the rails, CSX, hoo boy, this thing's been on a tear, and you might recall this one per the video. The inside month down here, right? The RevStrat month here, the inside month here, the failed shooter here, and now just going towards the high. So it's just starting off as an inside day. And so one of the things we're going to be seeing is a lot of like secondary other stocks that you might not be paying attention to, because a lot of these big guys have had these huge moves. And so what I mean by that is if you look at something like, well, let's go to Union Pac first, which is a big guy, but inside day just to start the day there, so pay attention to that. But stuff like Rail, RIAL, and you can see this has been in a range here, Freight Car Merker. And this thing would be RevStrat week to the upside, inside bar countered with hammer. Now, if we can get out of this stuff, you might recall this. I've brought this up a few times. One of the reasons you want to take a look at long-term charts is you want to see where these things have been. And if you take a look at this thing, this baby used to be somebody, and when the market stalls out, if there's as we've seen the strength in small cappers and secondary type stocks here, if this really starts to kick in here, this thing's been a heck of a lot higher. I was going to say something else, but I'll say heck. If we go to TRN. Once again, this thing's been a lot higher too, and on the weekly, just went weaken up, but no new actionable signal here. But we just want to keep an eye on some of these secondary tranny stuff. So if we go to like FedEx we know it's just been ripping here and goes right back to the top of the triangle here in the weekly, last month, inside month, and up. So anytime you go into higher highs, you just got to be careful of corrective activity. So that's going to start off FedEx's inside day, and UPS here, not quite an inside day, but just kind of consolidating up there with nothing new as it goes doji like this on the weekly. So if we take a look at EXPD, a little bit different of a ball game here. If you go to the daily, you're going to see this. You're going to see this triangle, bam, 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 bam. And now up here, this would be a daily momentum hammer. All right. And if we can take that out, it's also monthly momentum hammer here. And you can see it's waka, waka, waka. And so if it catches up the other shippers and goes into the highs, you can take that out. If we go to XPO, you can see this nice corrective and then trying to make a run back up. If we go to the weekly, you're going to see this inside week momentum hammer. Like so. And if you go to KEX, Kirby, RevStrat week, inside week countered with hammer. So we'll keep an eye on all those in the trannies. If we go to the Utes, not too much here in the Utes because we got this big wide outside weeks. We're seeing that like in the oils and stuff, anything that was pretty volatile last week, just going straight up, straight down. Now, how do we get out of that range? Still and generally walking down, a series of lower highs. And VNQ REITs here would technically be RevStrat to the downside here because it was inside bar and opens and closes back in that range. But individually, not seeing too much over there. If we go to XME, here's where it starts to get a little interesting. The commodities and XME going weekly Momo hammer. And remember last month, this thing's been really good on the monthly chart. The monthly momentum shooter, the hammer calls the bottom, the inside month to the upside, goes down, sets up the RevStrat, goes inside month and RevStrat here last month to take it up here. And as we know, these commodities have been a lot higher. This one's been in the 90s. So as much as, it seems like this is a huge move, like I said, it's been up in the 90s. So we'll see. So it's starting off as momentum hammer weekly here. And so if we take a look at gold, question is gold going to help out? Gold has obviously gotten the smackdown here, but it's taken a lot of these levels out here. And so we got nothing new to say it's going up just yet. But we shall see what we shall see. And silver here, the same, just trying to consolidate down there toward the lows. See if they can get a move because you got the miners, GDX, here going inside week. Right here, inside week. And so the question is, what is this? Is this going to hold like this? Does gold really get smashed and go down, sideways measured move and pummel these things? Or is this the consolidative behavior before trying to take another shot up in here? In general, still would be in trouble about here because it's still walking down this series. But inside weeks for GDX. And so if you look at ABX went up a little bit last week, but it's still 2-week bar pattern. These two are still inside here. Let's see how it holds something like this. You've got Newmont. Newmont and ABX looking about the same, right? So Newmont, just about the same type of deal. If we go to, you see AU, here you go. You got GG. You got little guys to keep an eye on if they really start going. GFI, GOLD, and pretty much student body inside going to be important. FNV would be RevStrat to the downside. It's still 2-bar pattern because there's 2 weeks inside of that, but it would be RevStrat to the downside if they start hitting them. FNV. And silver wheat and SLW is RevStrat to the upside, so we can start getting that silver to go up. If you go to letter X, steel, letter X, Momo hammer on the highs, and we all know steel's been a real lot higher. Steel's been a real lot higher, and And that's why when people look at the broader averages and be like, how can we go any higher? How can we go any higher? You can see a lot of these things, and maybe they, maybe they make it back, maybe they don't, but certainly have been there. And so here's, you can see these and those recent highs here in the mid 40s here for letter X. So letter X starting off as the Momo Hammer Weekly. You got Nucor here doing the same thing. AKS, same thing. We can take a look at RS. Reliance Steel, same thing. STLD, same thing. Right? So we can see if we can get them steels going. If you go to FCX, inside week here, like so, and if I'm going after Baker Hughes, who knows? Maybe that helps because remember this baby's been in the 60s too. If we go to CLF, yeah, I know, but it's all a bunch of Momo hammers in the commodities to see if these things can really kick in. Kaiser Aluminum, KALU, inside week there. And Rio Tinto, you can keep an eye on. Excuse me, that's multi 3-week inside pattern of here. Okay, if we go to the financials, and the thing about the FAS, it's just in the stratosphere at least right now, and so still doing the grinder. But as far as trading is concerned, a little bit tough in here. You had the inside day, then pop up and do nothing. If you go to XLF here, it just drops in a little bit, but real tough to trade when they get up like this, right? But once again, that XLF is another one of those things that's been a lot higher. XLF's been, and a lot of those regional banks that get to in a second, like KRE here, still just on a mission from this triangle here, and just stalling out up here a little bit, and not uncommon an inside day. But at Bank of America, one heck of a run here, and you took that triangle here, and once again, just a lot of long-term charts of what stuff has been, and you can see the Bank of America, all this stuff up in here, and trying to use this triangle as a consolidation pattern, and then finally the breakout. So you are higher than this stuff. We just have no new setups in there, like Citicorp. Citicorp, if anything, if they want to bring it in, would be weekly shooting star. How far they're going to go is another story, but like I said, if we get a simultaneous break in the market, we'll see if any of this stuff kicks in, because JP Morgan goes to the highs off the inside week. Thank you very much. And, now an inside day. Wells Fargo even coming out of the ashes here, and Wells Fargo goes inside day. And because of their shenanigans, they got hit down in here, but now have rallied all the way back up into this stuff and go inside day, but we'll see how that goes. If we go to Huntington Bank, just a little reminder of all these guys that used to be somebody in the regionals. Like so, and RF, just looking at all these things that used to be somebody when they start to set up. If we go to MasterCard, MA's trying to go inside day, month and down. Remember, Visa's been weak, and here, so it's supposed to be inside month and down below 100.36. Starting off as an inside day, just a slight lower low here like that. So either triangles back up or tries to go down, measured move, and take that stuff out, which would be nice because we know for a while Capital One, there's an inside day there as well. Capital One and DFS handily outperforming the Visa and the MA, at least for the recent time, but no new actionable setups there. If we go to MetLife, remember the MetLife, we're watching this monthly to see if it can complete by taking this thing out up into here like everything else has, and like Prue did, and now we'll keep an eye and see if that MetLife starts to make a run towards those high 50s there. Don't have any new actionable setups, though, unfortunately, right now. If we go to HIG, and there's another insurer that, there you go, inside month and up, but starting off, nothing really on the pattern here except holding, but going back to that monthly, just you might want to keep a little stash of guys that used to really be somebody, right? Because they're coming back. And so let's take a look at Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs is just going vertical here, takes these right to the monthly, right into here, and now going inside day. So it's been one heck of a move. Wouldn't surprise me to go inside day and down to start off, but who knows? It's still strong. But it is inside day. And like I said, a lot of these things are going to start off as an inside day. And so what that means is either we get the simultaneous break where everything breaks in the same direction on Monday, or some break one way, some break the other, right? And what that does, it sets up a turnaround Tuesday, because anybody that doesn't break on the inside day break for the broader averages, if the broader averages start to turn back the other way, whichever way that is, anything that stayed inside is what's going to trigger the turnaround Tuesday phenomenon. So that's what you'd want to be aware of coming in on Tuesday, and the importance of inside days on Tuesday. Let's go to XRT retail. So XRT retail, you can see still stuck in this range, trying to get back out of here on the monthly. In the weekly, not quite an inside week, but towards the upper end of the range to see if it can get out of there. Nothing really on that. If you go to Costco, so Costco here, Costco trying to come back up off the monthly. So the monthly, somewhat hammer, counters the inside month, right? It's almost really a spinning top doji, but we want to know about this equilibrium if we can take this back up, because this stuff was still higher than that. No new actionable signals on there, but you can see in this doji land it's just been a mess in here. But we want to see how we get out of this business in here. If we go to Target getting real interesting here. It is an inside day and it is a gap, so it's still disseminating that gap, and it does that by going inside on the week. However, one of the things we've been watching on Target forever is this month here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months completely within this bar's range, and eventually that's going to need to change. So we're going to see if this inside week can start to compel it up, sideways measured move, and keep ripping. Although this has been a pretty nice move off the lows, wouldn't surprise me to go inside, but we shall see what we shall see. AutoNation AN. This would be RevStrat to the downside. Inside week countered with shooting star, so let's pay attention to that if that can take out last week's lows. Abercrombie, pig, and Abercrombie is just all sorts of trouble here. Not quite an inside week, but it looks like it's 2 weeks there. And if you go to the monthly, see, this is a monthly momentum shooter. Couldn't get back in the triangle, so below this month, if it's really going to get pummeled here, this would be the consolidation pattern. Stop them out. Continuation, puke. So we'll see if Abercrombie can take that out and go daily momentum shooting star. If all these guys are all trapped trying to think this thing's turning around again, stick it to them below all that stuff. If we go to Bloodbath and Beyond, BBBY, you can see once again they tried to stay in all this range here. All right, but if you go to the weekly here, these 2 weeks completely in this week's range. So we want to see either side of these 2 week breaks, if we can strong enough to go try and take a shot up towards 48, or if it's going to drop back in. If we go to Casey General Store, would be RevStrat upside weekly. Inside week goes down, 2-bar pattern, both inside here. So it either breaks that or tries to go 1, 2, 3 and take them out on the weekly, because it also sets up as daily RevStrat to the upside too here, like so. Inside bar, countered by hammer. If we go to Dillard's Department Store, DDS, Christmas is coming, and just going inside week here. And so I want to see if this can take any more shots up in here, if retail strengthens, or if that's all she wrote. If we go to Foot Locker handily outperforming here, and you can see the Foot Locker making a nice move here in the monthly, trying to go back and take out the highs. And it's a nice hammer per the video, if you might recall there, and it keeps going and now coming in. Momentum hammer, Foot Locker. If you go to Fergie, Fiesta Restaurants, momentum hammer weekly here too, and this is another thing that used to be somebody up into here, and now trying to retrace all of this business in here. So this thing used to be in the 70s and now just coming back here. If there's any hope, weekly momentum hammer. If we go to GES, inside week to the downside puker into the lows. And what that does, it sets up a pretty rare pattern, the kicking pattern monthly, where we prefer the kicking pattern to have less of a shadow. However, a bright green and gapping against that is not good. And so anytime this thing has full time frame continuity to the downside, we're certainly going to be aware of that. If we go to GameStop trying to fight back and goes inside week. So the question here is this just corrective activity? Inside week back up, stop all these guys out. 1, 2, 3, 4, you're gone. Now inside week, if this is just corrective activity within the greater dumpage, certainly want to pay attention to this thing taking out 24.13. If we go to Domino's Pizza, speaking of Momo, going weekly on the high and inside week on the high, and if it takes it out, monthly momentum hammer to really stick it to them on the highs. If we go to Jack in the Box, Jack in the Box still going toward the new highs here too, and setting up inside weak momentum hammer. I said I'm not sure this market's going to have enough for all this Momo, but you never know, and that's why we want to be aware of the setups. You go to KSS here, there's a 2-week inside pattern, Rev Strat, inside bar, countered by getting back in there, so pay attention to that. Breaking the Rev Strat or re-breaking to the downside. You've got Lowe's Corp at the Home Depot still fighting back and going momentum hammer weekly. And if you take this out, you might recall here, this triangle like the Home Depot. Here, the good part for Lowe's Corp was too strong to take that out right here by holding back up. Now the question is going to be strong enough to take all this stuff out, take a shot up, momentum hammer, Lowe's Corp. If we go to Nordstrom fighting back again, just starting off as an inside day. So like most things, we'll just pay attention to that on the daily. Kroger fights back with Rev Strat weak. Here, inside weak countered with hammer, so we'll look for setups to take out the 3410. If we go to Macy's inside day there. Nothing really new on the longer term stuff for Macy's, but inside day to start off. And Whole Foods is going to be an inside day, and the question is how do you get out of this chop shop in here, right? Outside day, inside day. And the way you might do that is you set up the Rev Strat week. Inside week countered with hammer. You'll be looking at Whole Foods on the inside day break and the week break above 31.20. All right, if we go to the crude oil patch, well, they got them but good in the Earl patch, and you can see this, yowzer. Oh, no, it's going to zero. No, it's not. Bam, bam. And now an inside day here, and you can see a little bit more room here, at least USO. And sadly, this week, we have to say goodbye to DWTI and UWTIs are being delisted. Boo! But, so we'll have to make do with SCO and whatever we got, UCO and stuff like that. But you can see here, trying to reverse back here is the USO, and we got monthly here. You can see this, where he's like, ooh, it's a huge move. I'm like, really? It's still stuck in here, and now monthly hammer and trying to take that out, and inside day. If they want to keep the Earl patch going, if you go to XLE, finally trying to get out of this stuff. And so that last week move is trying to finally get out of this stuff. On the daily, you're just kind of stuck up in here in a no man's land. You've got XOP here like that, so should be a lot of individual stuff because a lot of these things are going outside weeks, which are fractal triangle because they have to be. They took out both sides, has to be a broadening formation. So how do we get out of this stuff? There's a good chance of a lot of things going inside week. If you go to OIH here, a little bit better, hanging out towards the highs, and we'll get to that in a second. But here you can see this inside day, 98. Yes, inside day right near the highs with the crude itself. If we go to the big boys Exxon, geez, remember this business in here. And look at this. This is a real mess. But monthly here, it did go take out the inside month to the downside and come back. So technically a Rev Strat here above 88.19, but it gaps up in there and it comes right back in, but kind of stuck in the mud here. Chevron acting a lot better. However, we just started off the month and we don't have any actionable signals here, and that's what we're going to need. If we go to BP once again on the monthly, still just coming out at trying to get out of this stuff. And so if this joins the party, now you've got the shooter, the hammer, and the hammer counter shooter to try and get above that. So we'll be looking for full time frame continuity above 35.27. Any additional actionable signals we can get in BP. If we go to GPOR doing nothing here, and so see if they've forgotten about it. We go inside day on GPOR in the morning. We'll see how that goes. If we go to Noble Energy, we know this NBL has just been stuck for so long, like most things in the oil patch. Finally trying to get out of all this stuff. So we're going to look for any actionable signals that can finally get this thing going. Well, we don't have them right now, unfortunately. If we go to Oxy got them but good here, and Oxy does this. On that gap back up, it took the inside week back to the upside. Now it's an outside week, but that set up the Rev Strat month, or the inside month down to the lows and now back up. You can see it open and backed off right out the chute, but anytime we can take this monthly back green, we take this hammer back out at 72.84 over the course of the month. That's something I'm going to want to know about. All right, if we go to Slumber J, And Slumber remember this monthly chop shop in here, and now trying to get back up into this stuff. Just no new actionable signals where Halliburton sticks it to him. Halliburton right now would be RevStrat day to the upside, 2-bar pattern, 2 days inside of here. And you can see much stronger. It was here last month, coming back up here. Now just opening up in here. So, well, like I said, follow through at these levels for like the financials and the oils. Going to be a little tough when we might, like I said, watch some secondaries. We might see if these things go inside weak as the month progresses. Once again, going to the guys who used to be somebody. If you go to Encana, ECA, and just looking at all this kind of stuff when you put them in perspective, be like, used to be somebody. So we'll see if there's any perk up there if the oil continues. ESV, the same. If we take a look at PDS, Precision Drilling, once again, these guys used to be somebody, and there's a whole bunch. I mean, the rig and the diamond offshore, and I know the offshore stuff is a little rough, but OII here, trying to go inside month and up, and you still got like that Tidewater and the Seadrill, right? But the longer oil can stay up and keep some of these guys from going out of business, we've seen some pretty thunderous rally in that stuff, so we'll keep an eye on that. If we go to WMB used to be way up there too. Now WMB going to start off the week like this. Inside week, outside week, all right? And so, I mean, there's some inside month, outside month, but now RevStrat, because it's a hammer countering the inside week to try and get out of this range. So WMB on the radar. If you go to SLCA, and remember that one bar RevStrat weekly ticked down and came back through the inside bar in one tripper. What that did is set up the Momo Hammer monthly, and remember, it used to just be up here. So right now, SLCA is Momo Hammer monthly above 5130 with full time frame continuity upside anytime it has it. If we go to EMES, all right, all these guys used to be somebody. It is monthly hammer. If we can take this back out, 1318, and hey, let's go test the highs. I don't know about that, but well, first things first. If we go to the refiners, HFC, we know HFC has been underperforming for a while, down into here, but now finally trying to get out of here. You got an outside month trying to take that out. You've got an inside day here to see if that wants to continue, and you can see the difference when you look at how people perceive charting. Is like here, it's like, oh, it can't go very much because it's already on the top of the chart, and that's why you go back to the monthly and go, are you sure about that? So we'll see. That was a nice down inside monther there, if you recall that. Anyway, you got MPC back into the middle of the range, and just potentially, like I said, a lot of these things outside weak, but it is momentum hammer if we can take that out. And starting off as an inside day, and you can see here, if you want to see the triangles, the higher highs, the lower lows, like so. Inside day potential momentum hammer MPC PSX. Once again, inside day towards the highs, potential Momo hammer on the weekly. If we go to Valero a little worse by dropping in like this, but it does start off as an inside day here to see if this is corrective activity. Once again, you go into the higher highs, you go into the lower lows, and it's either a reclaim back up in here off the inside day or expand back down. If we go to WNR holding its gap, disseminating the gap, and so that's going to look like this. 2 week inside pattern of this, but RevStrat to the upside, hammer inside week. Stops go here, here, and here. Boom. See if you can take them out if the refiners pick up some steam. Go to Natty Gas and the UNG. Go to UGAS. It's more fun. UGAS, you can see went down, went inside weak, right back up. All right. And so just we're stuck in the middle there. And so you can see stuff like Chesapeake. Here, still momentum weekly hammer, and on the monthly, once again, the old used to be somebody trying to get out of all this range and starting off as an inside day here, and you can see this here, it's trying to get out. So a lot of this stuff, like I said, because of the run up of the market, is momentum. Anytime you're going into higher highs, you got to defend and make sure it keeps going, because that's when you're at risk of the reversal, like here, right? But you are inside day to try and keep that Chesapeaker going. If we go to GLOG, just the GLOG. GLOG would also be RevStrat week to the upside. Air. Inside week countered by hammer. If we go to SGY, oh yeah, talk about it used to be somebody with the reverse split dry ship style. There you go, inside month and down from 400, bam. Anyway, to start off the week, Going inside day to see if there's more of this business. Remember, this was a nice inside day here. There's some nice trades in there. Now it goes inside day again to see if it's got gap fillage or slight higher and go back to oblivion, like so. Kinder Morgan Energy didn't like the oil rally at all and starts dropping. So this is momentum shooter. If they want to start taking this thing back down to the downside, I know if I'm in the oil business and I'm not ripping, I'd want no part of you. So we'll see how that goes. If we go to the IBB and the druggies, IBB still stock, and 1, 2, 3 weeks within this bar's range and back into the middle of this range, nowhere near taking it out. And so the problem with that is this big outside month. How are you going to take this out? So a good chance IBB goes inside in the month, albeit we got plenty of month left. GILD still stinking the joint up here and potential monthly momentum shooter to finish him if they don't do something. This would be a little rough taking that out, so it would be aware of below 71.39. If we go to BIIB, once again, you see this month and opening straight right darn the middle of it. So how are we going to get out of this stuff? And 1, 2, 3 weeks completely within this bar's range. So we certainly got to get out of this stuff, and that's going to be an issue for the month. Celgene completely 1, 2, 3 all in this week's range. And if you go to the daily, see this, all these days are completely within this bar's range. That needs to change. It needs to get out of there. And so when you hear me talk about multi-bar inside patterns, you're going to get killed. It's like it's consolidating. It's not doing anything. Now, granted, some people are like, I've traded it. I'm like, yeah, sure, you can get it, when it's doing this or doing this. But in general, it's going nowhere. It's going, oh, let's go up. No, let's go down. No, let's go up. No, up, no, down. So it needs to get out of there, and that's going to be the theme in a lot of this stuff. Remember, Regeneron, the triangle of death, and just took out both sides of this. We finally got it to take both sides of the triangle out, and then what does it do? It goes right back in the middle. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high, inside day, and drops back into this. How do we get out of this thing? And so more often than not, you're going to get yourself an inside month, if not a multi-pattern, because look at this monthly bar. And hopefully they cure something good, and that would do it, but here, how are you going to get out of this? How are you going to take that high out, or how are you can take that low out from here? So not much there. You go to Amgen. And so Amgen still, once again, on the monthly, takes out both sides and goes nowhere. It takes out the recent highs, not the highs, takes out the recent lows, but not those lows, and now coming back into this garbage. So not much there either. Multiple weekly 1, 2, 3 bars in this thing, and it's got to get out of there, and it's nowhere near doing that. So if we go to something like an ACAD will just start an inside week with the 1, 2, 3 pattern. So the hopes would be, if we can get this thing going, the inside week would trigger the 1, 2, 3 stirs up in there, if there's any hope. But once again, the monthly looms, but it's not as bad as the other ones, especially if it takes that week and up. So we'll pay attention to ACAD weekly. If you go to CARA, little guy, but this would be RevStrat weekly to the upside. Here, you got the inside week, goes down, hammers back up, so it goes RevStrat above 10. If you go to Clovis is an inside week, and the reason this is important is if it takes the inside week, Clovis is close to taking out the inside month to the upside. Remember, it used to be somebody after the RevStrat month of death, the inside month and down, the Momo shooter of death, the inside month and back up, and now inside month, inside week. And once again, let's just draw it so you can have your Clovis triangle: higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, inside month. You can see it. Right, ICPT. Puker, still walking down ever since this. Who'd have thunk that this was the RevStrat month of death, right? And another RevStrat month. And anyway, it's just still walking, and then starting off as an inside day near the recent lows if they want to keep the drifting puke going. If you go to IDXX, the animal druggies, inside day here, and if you pull this out, you're going to see this here. So the question is this the pullback within more attempting up in here, or are we going to have this finally triangle all the way back, because it's had one heck of a run, right? So it wouldn't surprise me at all to come back into that. So we'll start off and keep an eye on that inside day and how it acts within that triangle. If you go to ILMN, Puker, inside day near the recent lows and still having all sorts of trouble, and that would go monthly momentum shooter here to try and take all this stuff out with the inside day going down. If you go to Jazz Farm, Another underperformer that could easily take out last month's lows. Just starting off as an inside day here. If you go to the weekly, took these guys out, all right, and then finally took that week out. So inside day for Jazz. If you go to Juno, man, Juno inside week and still, yeah, this is an inside week and monthly momentum shooter. If the drugs don't work, I mean, this is, and there's been talking about this stuff for a while, and just it is what it is. All right, inside week and potential momentum shooter to the downside of SRPT. Yeah, oh, how they loved her. And you can see this is just drifting death. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just no green week since then. And if you go to that daily, here's the day that they said, yeah, this is going to be sliced bread. But ever since then, the question is now it's an inside day. It's going to be strong, weak enough to take this baby out. Right? Wipe them all out. Everybody, all the hopes and dreams of everybody take them out would be dashed right here. So we got an inside day, or potential if it perks up, you are off the lower low. So here's your inside day to start off the week for SRPT and Teva Puker. Ew, Teva still no actionable signals. Just yeah, that's what it does. So far it pukes. So I just consider that on your underperforming list. Not too much here in the tech. Because we got that outside month, now inside month, and we knew the XLK per the daily videos, the shooter against the top of the triangle. That really got him because the SMH did this, the inside day, and that was great. Now an inside day right back in all the middle of this stuff, and so much like on those monthlies, some of these things are going to be stuck in the inside week, right? These things are a little bit closer to taking them out to the downside, which would be good. Get us some more volatility. That we can do. An XLK, okay, so if we just go to big boys, Facebook. In Facebook, remember last month, bright red month. Now it's starting off, opened on the highs of the month again, but starts off as inside day here to see if this is going to hold the higher low here inside day and try and make another shot at here. Still walking down this business even if it gets up there, but starts off as an inside day. Amazon, nothing new here either. It goes to the highs, and it's had two down months, and now starts another third month as red. Just no new actionable signals of how far it's going to go so far. Just walking down, stopping out a little bit here in the weeks, and no actionable signals there, unfortunately. We've got a Netflix. Netflix getting interesting here as it is inside month. Can we get out of here? All right, so Friday was hammer in this tight triangle here. The question is, can you get out of here and get something going? And on the 60, you'll see this. Here. You're going to get murdered in here. You get murdered in here. And so that's why when I say the triangle needs to grow, you need that range to get out of here. First of all, multi-pattern. Another outside bar, multi-pattern. Right? So then finally when it takes this out, right, we want to know about that. Then multi-bar pattern. But then when it comes back up here, it reclaims this outside bar, right? Goes up in here, takes them out. Not strong enough to take that one. Comes back in, multi-bars. Boom, gaps up, takes them all out. Then goes inside 60. And then inside 60 off the lows. And then finally, the triangle has grown enough where once it starts getting in here, then you get that momentum move. But for right now, inside month for Netflix. If you go to Google, here's the 60. You can see the boom, 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 boom. Now it's just stuck down in here. Goog not doing much, but it does go inside day to start off, and so we'll see what that does with the rest of the inside days. AVGO in the semis, I talked about watching this triangle, and we'll all you have to do is wait for that thing to grow. However, there's some nice moves up in here, and this is where we were looking for it to take this out, which it did not do. And once it did not do that and started doing this, that was a problem. And so there's some nice moves to the downside. Then it stops all these guys out, them out, still higher than that. And now hammer to see if this triangle is going to continue to grow again, or we're going to wallow down in here. But starts off as a hammer, and that triangle is still going to be important going forward. If we go to CAVM going inside day, and unlike all those semis that got pummeled, it got hit a bit, but now it's still, but in general, it's still in the middle of all this stuff. Nothing new to go on except the inside day. But if you look at Xilinx has what semi sell off? Inside day and right back up. So certainly Xilinx at this point trying to take those months out to the upside and shrugging off See that on the weekly, it was rev strat to the upside. So in the semis firm up at all. So far, Xilinx is showing them how it's done. If we go to Cirrus Logic, yowzer, pummel. And Cirrus Logic, one of the things that's important to look for is when you see an actionable signal like a shooting star or a hammer here, and it's countering an outside bar, that's good as far as movement because that tells us that's a broadening formation because it took out both sides. So then if you break it down, you can see it like this on the daily. 1, 2, buckle my shoe, puke, and take it all down to the downside. Now it's an inside day, and it's also Rev Strat month. And so here, below this, the inside month, shooting star against the inside month. So you can see it took these two levels out. Question is going to be weak enough to take this outside bar here. So we'll look for continuation patterns. Inside day to begin on Monday. Just a few more here. Like I said, there's a lot that needs to play out here. So BGS and BGS going monthly hammer, potentially weekly combo. Inside week would take a monthly hammer if that takes that up. DY, die. And you'll see this here, inside week. This outside week coming off in here, this triangle. So the question is just going to go expando and starts crushing, go down sideways and measured move and get killed. Because if it takes this out, it goes monthly momentum shooting star. This thing here, anybody stopped out on the short side, and if it gets long in here, bam. So that'd be a potential nice combo of death. If you get an ELLI, Ellen may clamp it. Well, they may clamp it. Just an interesting inside day here as it's setting on the bottom of the try. See if we can get out of that thing. I see how that handles Monday morning. If we go to CSIQ and the solar, CSIQ on the weekly is an inside week delayed rev strat. What I mean by that, it's an inside week, so it didn't cancel out this break here. Right? And the rev strat setup is still there, which means it would go inside week break, rev strat this and that, and potentially that. So we'll be looking for CSIQ above 1102. If you look at the FSL YAR, not doing much, but this is a 2-week inside pattern, right? And so this potentially coming off of this here. All right, so either side of these 2 weeks we want to know about, and usually solars go together, so we can watch them all together. You go to iRobot. It's had a great run here, and iRobot has had a great 2-3 month run. However, if it's going to run out of steam and pull back a little bit, you do have weekly shooting star countering the inside. That would be rev strat below 55.10. If we go to LMT, this 2-week pattern here near the highs, and the reason that's important is like a lot of these things have been really moving here. General Dynamics, Northrop Grumman. All right, it still just took that weekly, and so we can also maybe watch some Raytheon here. There's a 1, 2, 3 week pattern inside of here to see if all that kind of strength can continue. If you go to Wynn Resorts, you're going to see this monthly hammer, and it's an outside bar hammer. So can it finally take this stuff out? Because this range has been grinding for months and months and months and months. You finally take all these guys out to the downside. Now you're going to take if we can take a shot above that 104.90 is where we'd be looking on that. Because once again, you can go back to some of those guys used to be somebody, and so like all these guys used to be somebody, MPEL, all right, here. But if you look at, you're just looking at the monthly here. I got nothing new on that except that used to be somebody except MGM. MGM coming in and going weekly Momo hammer. And once again, if you take that monthly out, ooh, used to be somebody. So we'll see if we can get up on all this stuff. If we go to post, the defense, this sets up the rev strat month. If they want to start coming back in the defense, they haven't as yet, but inside month countered with hammer. And it's also shooter countered by hammer, right? So we'd be looking at post anything above 78.33. It's not there. That's a monthly chart. Taser. Captain Tase. And Captain Tase here. Here, inside weak hammers. So the question is this real? Like they got them down in here and they've been chopping them up but good in here, right? It's going to kill it. No, we're going to run it. No, we're going to kill it. No, we're going to run it. So you can see all these levels that we're trying to take out here to see if you get the measured move. The up, the sideways, the inside weak hammers, and measured move. You can keep an eye on that if Taser starts moving. Materials, Martin Marietta, and MLM. You can see just ripped off this hammer here. So the question, we can continue this. You got a RevStrat week, inside week, countered with hammer, and you can usually trade with the VMC Vulcan materials. You can keep an eye on this multi-week pattern as well. And last but not least, Tesla. And Tesla goes outside week, and Tesla still just can't get it going here. Remember, this was the multi-month pattern here, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, then the outside month, and we took this out last month, tried to recover it, but now we're dropping back below that. So we can test this, and then below that, there ain't nothing but here. And so right now, like a lot of things, because we sold off, open on the highs of the month. So outside week. So once again, any outside bar, you can see the slight higher high, and that was a triangle on the daily. Once it gets out of there, you need it to stay out. Anytime you reclaim an outside bar, there's the potential of taking it all the way back to the upside triangle style, and that would look like this on your daily. Here, remember we saw this. This was great. The slight higher high shooting star. Triangle them out. All these guys are going to stay short. No, you're not. Bam, they're all gone. Then it goes shooting star and just pummels, and we'll see if it's weak enough to take all this stuff out. So we're starting off as an inside day and in the SPY, and like a lot of things here, but you do have a lot of stuff blown out, like the oils, a lot of outside weeks and stuff like that. But those ranges are big enough that if we start to see the simultaneous break on Monday, that'd be somewhat significant. But as you can see, some of these things almost for sure going inside months to finish off the year. So, and potentially the S&P itself. And so what that's going to continue to mean, we're going to continue to watch this sector rotation, individual stocks day by day, and still would pay attention to full time frame continuity in the broader averages. But anytime we start to reverse and go into conflict, which means some of the time frames are up or down, we're going to stay on that sector rotation because that's where it's been. All right, that's going to do it for this weekend. I'm Rob Smith, the Black Quant VTF here at T3 Live.